Well, noted skin suit full of cockroaches, Ben Shapiro, is going to be talking to us today about the rather fucked up stunt that Governor DeSantis from Florida pulled by shipping immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. If you haven't heard about this, it's kind of fucked up. Let's see if Benny Boy is here. Is going to give us a rundown.
Well, here is the thing about altruism. If you are truly altruistic, this means that you dip into your own pocket to give people things, right? True altruism is when you are charitable with your own resources. It's a wonderful thing, right?
That's not necessarily what altruism is. Altruism doesn't necessarily have to mean some sort of exchange of finance, okay? But for the purposes of somebody who looks at the world through such a reductive lens that they see money as the best form of altruism, sure, I guess that makes sense. Fuck it.
Right, being altruistic about your own resources, recognizing that you owe something to your community because you're a member of that community, you're a member of that body politic.
That's not really what altruism is either. Like that's societal pressure and expectation. But whatever, dude. I mean, you're kind of 0 for 3 at this point. But let's keep going.
That's a good attitude to have. You know what's a terrible attitude to have is when altruism actually amounts to, I'm going to put my hand in your pocket and I'm going to give your money away, and then I'm going to pat myself on the back for how altruistic I am.
Okay.
And unfortunately, an extraordinary amount of democratic policy, economic, environmental, foreign, enormous amounts of this policy are predicated on the idea that you are most altruistic when you are putting your hand in somebody else's pocket and then giving away their money.
I have never heard an effective means of compelling a populace to pay their taxes as a form of altruism. That's not how taxes work. That's not the way people try and convince the body public into paying their taxes. That's not... where in the fuck are you getting this idea of altruism? Or is this just framing so people will buy into the dog shit argument that's to come? Could be that. Could be that. I don't know. Fucking, I'm not a mind reader and I'm not a fortune teller. We'll see what's going to happen.
When you are taking somebody else's life and affecting their life in a way that makes...
Oh, that's a good point. He just described Texas and Florida. They take California dollars. Yeah, I mean, so many red states end up having to get subsidized by blue state money. I mean, is he going to bring... I don't think he's going to bring that up.
You feel good, but it doesn't actually have any effect on you, but it makes you feel incredibly good because you are making Bob pay the bill. And let's face it, Bob deserves to pay the bill. You don't deserve to pay the bill. You're the good person. You're making Bob pay the bill.
I'm pretty sure everybody has to pay taxes, Ben.
But so
unless you're rich.
As long as you are making Bob pay the bill, you owe no consequences. You don't have to actually be altruistic. You don't actually have to do anything. It's all up to you to make sure that somebody else does this thing. So much of left-wing policy is predicated on this very idea.
It's not. And I don't think this person that you're talking about exists. I don't know what. Yeah, fuck Bob. Fuck Bob. Bob should pay for everything. Piece of shit. Fucking Bob. Yeah, weird. This is very strange. Nobody thinks that way. And if you're convincing anybody that people do think that way, they are even more baby-brained than you.
That the rules that you think should broadly apply to humanity and the consequences of which are not owned by you, those rules are good so long as you promulgate them. And then the minute you are clocked in the face by reality, the rules become really, really bad. This is true on tax policy. Democrats in blue states across the country will raise state taxes to extraordinary levels. And then they'll go to the federal government and they'll ask for state and local tax deductions. The idea being that you should be able to deduct your high taxes in the state of California, for example, against your federal income tax. Because after all, the other states should pay for the fact that you've decided to raise taxes in your state.
Okay. That would make sense if not for the fact that California puts more money than any other state directly into the federal kitty. And then that is used to subsidize poor red states. I mean, if you don't say that, then it kind of sounds, actually, it doesn't even just like the basis for this argument is so deeply flawed, it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But the moment you actually talk about how politics works, like how the economy and our taxes actually work, it doesn't make any fucking sense at all. So this is fucking weird.
When it comes to homelessness is a human right until precisely the moment the tent cities arrive in Malibu. Environmental.
They've been in Malibu for a long time, and that's a class issue. That's a fucking class issue. Fucking red states don't handle homelessness if the thing is, blue states tend to have more social programs to help with homelessness. However, when they start getting into places of privilege, then that's usually when they get shunted out. That's also true in red states as well, because it's not really necessarily, it's less about a political ideology, and it's more about elites not wanting to be reminded that poor people exist.
Policy. Environmentalism is all wonderful and good, especially for people who live in areas where you don't. Meanwhile, you get to basically fly around in a private jet, right?
All left policy is based on millionaires with private jets. Okay, got it, Ben. Got it. Oh, okay. That's why the left is so crazy, because the left is full of nothing but a bunch of people with their private jets. Fuck me. Brilliant analysis. Absolutely incredible. No notes. Jesus Christ.
Environmentalism is a luxury of the wealthy, and generally the people who are most interested in environmentalism also have the largest carbon footprint because they also happen to be the most wealthy, and wealth goes along.
None of that is true. None of that is true at all. None of that is true. Like, what, you think just because, like, you don't have a whole lot of money, you don't give a shit about the planet? What? What in the fuck? What in the fuck?
In most cases, with a higher carbon footprint than people who are very, very poor. So this has now reared its head again.
It's so weird because none of these things that he said are true. All of it is like weird dog shit in this weird Play-Doh fun factory of his brain. And Ben himself is not a stupid person, but he is a master propagandist. It doesn't hold up to literally any scrutiny at all. But he's a propagandist in that he's speaking to and reinforcing the beliefs of people who are vapid and dumb and don't look at things any deeper than just exactly what he says. And it's really fucking weird. It's super fucking weird.
With the issue of illegal immigration. The left, for my entire lifetime, has basically been soft on illegal immigration. They've suggested that illegal immigration, the free movement of people across America's southern border, and the ability of those people to then rely on the American welfare state, particularly on the state and local level, the ability of these folks to move across borders, to take jobs, to not pay their full share of taxes, to get free public education for their kids, to take advantage of the healthcare system. Right? All of these things are a good. And to oppose this...
Man, you really have to erase a whole lot, and I mean a whole lot, of Democrat policies that were not very favorable to illegal immigration. Sorry.
Is to be cruel and nasty. Now, here's the thing. Most of the people who are pressing this sort of policy, particularly the elite levels of the Democratic Party, never actually have to deal with the consequences. Mm-hmm. They feel as though they are creating a new voter base. People are coming in and they're more dependent on government. They tend to be poorer than the average in the United States. They tend to be less educated on the average in the United States. And thus, they are more dependent on government largesse in the United States. And so the idea was bring this entire new group of people in, and these people are more likely to vote Democrat. They just have the demographics of California.
No. It's a replacement. It's a very, very barely obfuscated replacement theory conspiracy. No, not at all. We are shown that overwhelmingly, because we're talking about Mexicans here. Okay, like he's dancing around it because he doesn't want to label it. We're talking about Mexicans. Mexicans overwhelmingly tend to be extremely hardworking. They do pay into their given societies. They tend to have a stronger work ethic, are willing to work much harder, and for less pay, which is something that Ben should be in favor of, given the soul-sucking nature of the Republican modality for work and fair pay. Now, this is really interesting, though, because I have a theory, and I'm going to look it up while we're watching this.
California, for example, shifted from California being a red to purple state and now to a pure blue, deep blue, sea blue state. Okay, but here is the magic. In order to foment illegal immigration, what you really have to do is you have to suggest that border towns in Texas have to deal with it. And certainly not Barack Obama up in Martha's Vineyard. Certainly not Kamala Harris over at the Naval Observatory in Maryland. Mm-hmm. Those people don't have to deal with it. Certainly not Eric Adams in New York City. The people, Lori Lightfoot in Chicago, those people don't have to deal with it. Because after all, the true altruism is making sure that the people down on the border in Texas who are saying, you know what, this is really screwing up our city. Those people are the bad guys. Greg Abbott is the bad one. Doug Ducey in Arizona, he's the bad one. The people along the border who say, you know, this is creating real societal and cultural problems and economic problems and crime problems. Those people are they're intolerant. They're bigots. They're bad.
Okay.
Because we're altruists, right? They're bad. We are.
I don't think that's necessarily how that's how it's supposed to be interpreted. It's a very uncharitable way to look at it. So one thing that's really fascinating about this, okay, when you're looking at this, the way that Ben's trying to frame the argument is that it's all these poor border towns in the red parts of Texas. That's where all the illegal immigration is coming through. And oh my gosh, and it's just so rough and so terrible. That is not where most of the illegal immigration from our southern border comes from. The vast majority are people who cross totally legally and then they just stay. They stay past their visa dates. That's it. Simple as. They're coming through legal ports. The vast majority. And I mean the vast majority. Also, the amount of illegal immigration has been slowly declining. Probably because we're having a whole lot of problems. It's so absolutely bizarre. Strangely enough, in areas where there is a wall, it does not. Wait, let's see. So they claimed that everywhere we put up a wall, illegal immigration has been reduced 90 to 95%. But the problem with that is the stats that they were showing was showing that across the board, that number of illegal immigrants was going down and that there was no difference between a wall or not. You ever want to see a good example of that? Penn and Teller did a fantastic episode of Penn and Teller's Bullshit on illegal immigration, and they found that a wall does not do anything to deter somebody who is determined to cross the border.
They're the altruists. And so there is something extraordinarily ironic about the hue and cry that is now coming from top-level Democrats over the move by border state Republicans, Ron DeSantis in Florida, which technically is not a border state, but there's a lot of illegal immigration into Florida, or Greg Abbott in Texas, who have now been saying to Democratic governors and Democratic mayors, guys, if you love illegal immigration so much, if you want to say that you are a sanctuary city without actually having to deal with the predominant force of illegal immigration, and guess what? You asked for it, you got it. And so Greg Abbott and Governor DeSantis, they've now been sending illegal immigrants to deep blue areas where they support sanctuary cities and open illegal immigration. They've been saying, now we'll see how much you like it.
Except, here's the problem, though. So they shipped a big group of people, human beings, by the way. We should probably point out that this is 100% human beings. Shipped them under false pretenses, saying they were going to go to one city, but instead were dropped off in Martha's Vineyard, which is an island, a bit more difficult to be able to freely move. But so they were dropped off at Martha's Vineyard. 48 Venezuelans. Now the problem is that these are not illegal immigrants. These were immigrants. They were trying to do this all by the book. They were following the rules. And then DeSantis doesn't even ship them from Florida. He communicates with that dipshit over in Texas. They get these people from Texas and then fly them to Martha's Vineyard. Now, keep in mind, what I'm about to show you was published on Fox News, okay? Migrants sent to Martha's Vineyard by DeSantis provided with shelter, food, healthcare, and job advice. Not even Fox can make this seem like a win in any way for the Republicans. Instead, what you have is the community sees that there's 48 people that are stranded, and they're like, well, fuck, I guess we need to take care of them. So how exactly does this reinforce Ben Shabipo's concept that these people don't like it? Well, obviously they don't like the fact that they were ill-prepared for it, but they're making the best out of it. And also, he has to paint them as illegal immigrants because otherwise people might feel bad that a human being was treated so poorly. But then again, their entire Republican Party is nothing but cruelty. That is their one policy, cruelty.
We'll see how altruistic you are when your hand is in your own pocket and not ours. We'll see how kind and charitable you are with your own resources and how much you like illegal immigration when it actually affects you. We'll see how much you enjoy defund the police when the criminals are sitting right side your house.
See, yep. And he has to be able to paint them as illegal immigrants because that way he can call them a criminal. And then criminals, as we all know, because of how much they love prisons, aren't deserving of human rights either. But unfortunately, Ben is wrong. These are not illegal immigrants. And even if they were, who fucking cares? Honestly, they're still human beings. Like, it's so bizarre. And then again, the people of Martha's Vineyard stepped up. They're taking care of it.
Right? We'll see how much you enjoy homelessness. When again, there are people who are camped out in your front yard. We'll see how much you enjoy high tax rates when there is no state and local tax deduction. Making people own the consequences of their own political decision-making is a net positive. This is also true, by the way, intergenerationally.
I would say that might be a good point if that was what was happening. Sure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think it'd be great if somebody decided to take some of Greg Abbott's human rights away, his ability to choose whether or not he can take Propecia. You know, like dude, it's so fucking crazy.
Economic policy is predicated on the idea that you can steal from future generations and then you can use the money here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not just true in the United States. This is true all over the world.
Mm.
The decline of Western economics is largely based on the fact that we have abandoned the sort of Burkean notion that you owe a debt to future generations.
Look at this evil motherfucker. Look at this evil fuck. He hates the idea that people are born and don't feel automatically enslaved and obligated to the state. Wow. Wowzers, Ben. That's a hot fucking take even for you. Holy shit. But then again, all of this is so fucking bizarre because of the decline of Western economics. I don't know if you've looked at the numbers lately, but we are doing real good. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money, Ben. There's a whole lot. Benjamin. And you know this, Benjamin.
Not the other way around, right? They owe a debt to you in the sense that they are supposed to inherit a stable and decent system, but they are not supposed to pay your bills. It is a fundamental fact of morality that a parent is supposed to provide for the child.
Okay.
And that typically speaking, only in old age are children supposed to provide for their parents. But the idea is that not that you burden your unborn grandchildren with debts they are never going to be able to pay. And yet we have broken that intergenerational barrier. We've destroyed that morality. And so now we have basically empowered.
How have we destroyed that morality or that barrier? How in the fuck has that happened? What are you talking about?
Our children and grandchildren on the back of extraordinary levels of public and, yes, private debt here in the West. And that is why you're seeing low rates of economic growth across the West. And this has been true for at least a couple of decades.
No.
So making people own.
The problem is you have to look at who is managing to profit the most off of it and what tactics are they using. And if you look at how good shit's going, it's going great for some. And none of what you're talking about is going to help that go back to more of a collective uprising in overall standards of living. But whatever, he doesn't fucking care. I'm going to give him just a little bit longer. This is bizarro land. Ben Shapiro lives in bizarro land. Like, everything he says is wrong. Like, objectively wrong. And the opposite of what is. And it's so fucking crazy to me that I'm surprised that he doesn't put his clothes on backwards, for fuck's sake.
Own the consequences of their decisions in the here and now is a very good way of forcing better policy. So I'm very much in favor of Ron DeSantis, for example, sending a couple of charter planes of illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard.
Except he didn't do that, did he?
And what's hysterical about this? So there's video that emerged yesterday of this happening. Fox News had the video. Apparently, Governor DeSantis sent a couple of charter planes filled with illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, but he didn't do that. He sent legal migrants.
The playground of the rich and famous. Barack Obama should have plenty of place. I mean, he should have lots of room on his estate. He's got a 29.3 acre estate on Martha's Vineyard, which must have cost a fairly large fortune.
I'm pretty sure Trump and all of his Trump towers could house a lot more. I'm just saying, but this is just all performative bullshit.
According to the governor's communications director, Taryn Fenske, she said, yes, Florida can confirm the 2 planes with illegal immigrants that arrived in Martha's Vineyard today were part of the state's relocation program to transport illegal immigrants to sanctuary destinations. States like Massachusetts, New York, and California will better facilitate the care of these individuals who they have invited into our country by incentivizing illegal immigration through their designation as sanctuary states and support for the Biden administration's open border policies. As you may know, in this past legislative session, the Florida legislature appropriated $12 million to implement a program to facilitate the transport of illegal immigrants from this state consistent with federal law. The Office of Mass...
It's so funny because, like, this is... a state does a thing and has an opinion, and then a different state is like, oh, well, we just want to ship human beings over to you to be petty, and Ben thinks it's good. Like, they're bragging that they fucking lied to and then transported, like, against their will, effectively, because they were not told they were going to Martha's Vineyard, effectively kidnapped people, human beings, not even illegal immigrants. They committed no crime over there, and they're just fucking bragging about it. Like, how fucking moronic are you people? And the thing is, too, I don't think in the public consciousness, in the rightoid fucking dumbfuck brain like this, this is seen as a win. Anybody who is right-leaning that has the capacity to think, like, can observe exactly how this is happening and knows why it's a bad idea and thinks it might backfire if they're not careful, and everybody else is like, yeah, this is backfired. This is bad. But they're going to lean into it really hard because they want to get Trump's voter base. That's why they're doing it. That's why DeSantis is doing such dumb fuck things, and he has to employ dumb fucks like this to make sure his dumb fuck attitude and his antics are being justified so that he can siphon all the fucking Trump voters. I'm telling you guys, when DeSantis goes up against Trump for 2024 for the primary for Republicans, it is going to be a bloodbath. Holy shit. Wow. So anyway, yeah, this is all, it's just cruelty. It's cruelty, it's pointless, it's disgusting. And Ben Shapiro's an idiot.